Hello out there, this is Terkanil, and welcome back to RxCraft. So we're going today to get down to where we're going to build a squid farm. We're going to be taking out a portion of the forest at the north end of the base. I keep calling it the south end for some reason. But over here in the forest area, and we're going to put a squid farm down there. So a simple thing, I've just been trying to line up where it will go in regards to the storage room, since that place is pretty long. I've also decided to expand it a little bit further, so I've got the extra storage space. But to that end, all I have to do is this. There, the hall is expanded. I don't know if I'll fill everything. I think at the deep end here I'll end up putting just a little area for overflow, anything that doesn't go into anything else. Don't know what type of storage medium I'll use down there quite yet, but I'll figure that out a bit. But this will be the far end of the room, and I'll probably just mirror it, so I'll put another couple more doors down there so I can have another way into the back side of all the the caches. So I get to wire up another of these doors down there. And then I'll have the south end, or why do I keep saying south end? The north end of the base all ready, and we can put the squid farm directly out from here. So, let's get on with it. We're going to be taking this hallway down this way a little bit further. You can see from here that we have everything lined up to some extent. If I can get myself to go through the wall. There we go. So as you can see, we have our beacons placing in, the landmarks placing us in various locations. To give me an idea of how far I've gone so far from here, we're going to move this down to this point so it's a little bit more accurate. Whoops. There we go. So there's our crisscross. So that is the far end of the storage room. So we're not all that far off now. I've just got to go a few more blocks and we can cut a hallway directly to the west. Yeah. And intersect it for the other piston door. So we'll get that bit dug out and be back. Alright, we have the hallway dug out. Just have a few finishing touches to toss in here. Replace these with wood. But we've also got the other door, or the back door I should say, for the storage hall. The only thing remaining at this point is the iron blocks that we use. So like the other side where I've got the gear blocks, we're going to use those over here as well. So there those are. I've already taken the liberty of building out all of the door mechanisms in here, so everything is nice and flush and pretty much symmetrical, at least if you consider the fact that it's, you know, rotated. So I built the same way, just went in from the right, or everything's set up in the same order, I guess you could say. I compacted this side slightly more, so it's a little bit cleaned up down here in the redstone works. So as you can see here with the conduits, having built it once, I knew what to expect, so it made it a little bit easier to build. And I didn't have to worry about sticking in quite as much or digging out quite as much. I mean, technically I'd take these out right here, but as well as these 2 blocks right here, but decided to make the works area actually a bit more flush. So I'm just hiding things now, simply because I can. I'm going to cover all this up in here. Alright. But this is the completed storage hall now. So, come out the back door here and begin digging out, I guess, right around here to get our squid farm going. So, the one thing we have to pay attention to is the fact that we have a river right over this way. There we go. So, that will interfere to some degree. We're going to have to build it in just a bit. And the south end marker here is what we're going to be basing our distance upon. So the south end marker was where I determined my south end of the base would be based upon a certain location up on the mountainside. Now we're well below that, and it turns out that mark happens to be in the door here, or behind the door here. So it's comes out right here. This is roughly where we're going to be lining up from. So our squid farm is going to be, as it turns out, directly adjacent from the storage hall's back door. So we're going to go right through here, and then, according to the general available, you want to have, or in order to get the squid to spawn, you must have water between 63 and 45 on your Y. And this is partly why I have the debug up right now. So right now the floor is at 64, which means to get the maximum use of this, the top of this area, or rather to say the floor here, is going to be basically where my water is starting, and then I have to dig down to make this worthwhile. So I'm going to build a hole going down to at least 45. Probably going to go a bit lower than that, probably down to maybe 35. So there's a good drop distance. The basic idea is that I'm going to be using here is to build a waterfall for squids. Squid spawns at the top. They are then forced to go down the waterfall, fall out, as it will be stopped, or I should say will be stopped, and then they die because they're out of water. Nice and simple. Don't require a whole lot to get it done. And at that point, as long as I'm in the area of the base so that the squid spawn, that'll cover it for me. So let me find my power pick, because it's obviously not one of those two. There you are. Actually, we'll go ahead and burn this guy out now. I made a diamond pick at some point just to test to see if there's any difference really between the diamond and dark iron picks, but I couldn't notice anything. If any of you watching this have happened to notice any major difference, let me know. I'd love to hear what there can be, because I haven't seen anything yet. But I'm going to get the first level room dug out, and then we can start digging down. Alright, so the room is dug out now. I've made this a 12 by 12 space, and the hole we're going to be using here is right in the center. I decided to just stick it a short distance across from the back door to the storage hall. And you're going to notice the perspective for me change a little bit here now and again, as this is at the very, very edge of the beacon space. So if I move like right over here, you'll see it starts going down. Move right here, right Oh, there is where it breaks. Oh, it's actually in the hallway. Okay. So apparently once I leave the hallway, I'm out of range of the beacons. Man, I got some distance. I should really take down that thing. I'll have to finish cleaning up the hallway here in a bit too. I've also gone through and partially stylized this as it is for the floor. And the path it takes to get down here. Again, as I said a while back, I've made the hallway here follow the edge of the mountain I've dug into. So the land right here is literally on the ground. But then I got a couple places like right here where the ground sinks down just a little bit, and yeah, there's a bottom of a tree. There was dirt right below these 4 blocks. So I've got a little bit of cleanup to do and cut down a tree. But what we're going to do is take a hole directly in the center of this thing, which shouldn't be that hard to find, I don't think. Let me grab my torches. Since I'm going to get myself good and lost here in a minute. There we go. So there's 1 coordinate. Then we gotta go 4 from this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Follow up from. So that's 4. So I actually want to go 1 in, 1, 2. So I'm gonna make the hole a little bit bigger than I was initially going to intend. But I think I mentioned at some point in a previous video that I was going to probably do either 3x3 or 4x4. So at this point, decided to go with a 4x4 area. So those 4 torches are the hole. So I'm going to stick some more around the edge here. So that this room is actually lit up. I can worry about proper lighting at some other point in time. There, that'll do. Yep, that's good. I'm going to stick one in the hallway, because it's kind of dark over here. Okay. So, I started stylizing the floor as well. I might change this a little bit here and take, instead of using the basic birch, I'm thinking of using this style here. Actually, I think that might be a better look outside here, just to ring around the side, because what I was going to do is have the birch run around the outer edge of the room, and then bring the either oak or dark oak, I haven't decided quite yet which one, up the center, and then do that as a second ring, and have that run in toward the center around the core here. And the core of this is going to actually be glass. I'm going to start this at exactly 63. So the floor here is going to be glass right here in the center of the room. So because of that, I'm thinking about taking this up 1 block so that where these torches are is the glass, and that this space here will actually be water to begin with. So let me get this all dug out, starting with this gravel here so I can get my wood siding in place. And once I've got that ready to go, we can pick up with digging in the center of the room. So I ended up getting a bit distracted after M dragged me over, or should I say, dropped me over into his to take a look at his base and a couple changes he was making. And as a result, I saw some blocks that I've been trying to figure out how to get them because they're showing up in the chisel options, and I'd never seen them before. This is one of them. Limestone along with marble, which I think there was still some in this area, wasn't there? Yes. So here's some marble, or world gen added with the Chisel mod that we tossed in recently. So, new type of block to play with, so I'll probably be adding some of this into my designs going forward now that I've had a little bit. So, random dig time done. So, back to our regular scheduled digging back in the squid farm. So I haven't seen some of the new block types over at Am's base, as he figured out that these actually did have recipes for some of these, like Tyrion. I gotta see what some of these actually look like, and I like a couple of these actually rather nicely. I'm gonna look at a couple of these and see what this thing looks like. Well, interesting, just flat block. The thing I noticed about these is I got the temple blocks here, and you'll see those back in the other room, and might actually use that instead. That's interesting. The temple blocks are different. As I was playing with them back in the room for the squid farm, let me run down there. I noticed that the blocks are not flat. If you look down here, you'll notice that like that one is bulging out a little bit. Every now and again you'll see that one of these will actually go the other direction. So apparently the temple blocks were both made to be convex and concave. So it's different. Definitely an interesting textured look when you look at stuff like that. Let me play this a little bit further and see if I can find a design that'll work, because I still want to have the wood on the outside to have it mesh a little bit better with the rest of the wood design in the base, and then see if I can come up with anything that will fit. So this holy stone that I started playing with, it sparkles. I'm keeping it. But now it doesn't mesh with the temple blocks, so I've got to find something else. Let's see if there's anything in the holy stone motif that might work. Maybe that thing. If this thing meshes, I think it might go with that. That's a mosaic. Interesting. It also jingles when you crack them. Oh, that is funny. Well, let me find a feasible texture and slot along the top. Hey, how about this one? We can have color in floor and ceiling. That'll do. Alright, the area around the top of the squid farm is technically complete with the exception of the ceiling. So now, you run in here, kind of looking at this a little bit too fast, I think. So I've added marble pillars out here going in, stylized with chisel, of course. I've got marble blocks right here with some carved marble blocks in the center. I've got more marble pillars right here and here. And then the rest of the walls in this room are holy stone. So I got 3 different types of it. A dark smooth, a light smooth, and then I've got this ornate style here going along the top as a ribbon. Overkill, considering that this is just the top of the room and it's not really to see anything except the water right here. But hey, if we're going to have a room here, I may as well do some fun with it, right? So, next piece, going down. Alright, the hole for the squid farm is dug. I've started digging out the basement here. Even set up the center of the room here for where the squid will fall. So, as I'd mentioned, instead of using a hopper rig, I'm using these vacuum chests that am left in my base, which I have now repurposed. They will now be collecting the ink sacs. So, in short, squid spawns up there, is pulled with the current down through here, drops out, dies, and then the ink sacs are collected. And I believe one of these has already actually collected a little bit, and yep, there you are. So we've already got a little bit, so all that's left for me to do here is to basically get these things to be able to send their contents up to the storage hall. And that requires me to finish getting all the piping set up in the back here. So, let me get that part done. So we'll have the storage hall and the squid farm linked in. It's working! So far the spawn rate for this is very low, and it's likely due to the river out that way. You can see it on the mini map. So I'm going to have to go fill some of that in and do a little landscaping. Hopefully reduce the area that can be spawned for squids out that way, and hopefully allow more squids to spawn in here. So that'll be the next part, but we're going to head back into the storage room and finish hooking that all up, as there are still plenty of caches that I've not stuck conduits and filters onto. Whoops. But we've got the in-between link down here, and I'm just going to dig this out a little bit further here for piping everything in. And I might have a little bit of machinery off that way for controlling or handling the raw ore that will come in, because I'm going to be tossing a quarry out someplace. I need to get me some more materials, and Am has proven that I will need a quarry because his output compared to mine is substantially higher, even for things like diamonds. So I'm going to get this all linked in because it's very boring to watch. It is even boring for me to do it, but it needs to be done. So I'll show a couple of those as I get started here, and then you can figure out the rest. So here's the process that we use for all this. Step 1, drop conduit. Step 2, grab something from the cache so I can use it for my filter. Set this as insert. 1, 2, 3, and put it back. That times however many more caches I need to do. But there's that process. You can see how hard it is to deal with the filters. Alright, the filters are all set up. So all that's really left now is to get everything set up for my quarry. So this is both sides. I've got both linked up. I can just jump through them really quick. See, they're all there. All, however many I've actually put out. That's a lot of caches. But now we got the next little piece here, and this I did off camera just because it took me a few iterations to get this to work correctly. So this is what we'll be going through when I set my quarry up. In which case, anything that's not being smelted, which I'm expecting going through there, I probably should add redstone into that. But it'll come in, be piped directly into this chest, broken down, stuck into this chest, which I'm going to have to add a couple things to the filters. And then anything that can be smelted will be smelted. And then it's sent into this chest. This ender chest then links back into the storage for being auto-sorted. This goes down to my mine, so I can just toss anything in here and have it sent straight up for smelting and organization. The filters on this side are black and white listed for these guys, so that I don't have to worry about anything I don't want to come through. So now I've just got to add a couple things, as I'm going to need a little bit more, which means time for some advanced filters. Actually, I think I'll need 3. 3? Yep. So let me get these figured out, since this will take a few minutes, and then I'll be back. Alright, so I think I've got the filters all sorted out now. We'll see if it all works correctly. So there's the 8 there, which is the same filter there, with a slightly modified one there. So we'll give it a couple days and see if it works. Now I get to go turn on a quarry. Oh, this is going to be fun. After some discussion with Am, and the fact that I've gotten a little extra shiny, but not much, he told me about how he was handling it with his quarry, which involves these guys, dark steel balls. So these you take by sticking 5 dark iron bars in a plus, and you get 5 balls. These have a increased output on sag mills. So like here you have flint, which provides a main output of 120% potentially, bonus output of 125%, and a 50% power reduction. These guys have a bonus output of 200%, which means in the case of getting a chance of shiny, it's a noticeable increase. So we're going to be adding an extra sag mill into the mix here, down below all these guys. And I've actually added a couple other things already in here. I'm just trying to figure out how to get to where I want to put this. So I put this chest in here to filter out all my flint. So flint goes into this chest, will end up down here, and then fed back up. So now I just need an extra one to handle my... Oops. Ferris. My brain stopped for a second there. Yes, I finally decided to upgrade my boots, so now I've got multi-jump. So I think I'll stick this guy probably right down there. I think that might work. Oops. Then I can run in. And I can have one pull out and go straight into the chest right next to it. I don't have to worry about moving the power line because it's right there. But I have to whitelist ferrous ore, don't I? I need ferrous ore. Alrighty then, I get to find ferrous ore. Alright, down to the mine I go. Well, it took a while, but I found my ferrous. Looks like one of my between episode projects will be figuring out cobblestone. Because that thing's about to fill up. Alright, what's the difference between resonant and reinforced? Cash. 160, 640. Right, I need EnderIO. So, that's going to turn into a resonant. These guys are going to upgrade to reinforced, and hopefully that will cover me. Might upgrade my iron cache as well. But I think that is all that I've got for this episode. So, if you enjoyed my little tinkering and so on here, hit like. If you'd like to see more of our escapades and some of the projects we have going forward, hit subscribe and come along for the fun. But this is Terkanil signing off. Somebody made a hole. Yeah, that was me.